Johnny Kendhammer podcast, episode 17. It's finally here. Had a viewer ask me on one of my videos what my thoughts were on the difference between dating girls in the US and Australia versus girls in other countries. Are girls more flaky in the US? So I'll give you some of my thoughts on my experiences over the years of what it's been like for me since I've been divorced. I'm in Pattaya, Thailand now. It is my final Saturday here. I decided this morning I'm going to go to Bangkok on Wednesday. I've had enough of this place. I don't like the vibe. I've mentioned this in other videos. It's just not for me. I haven't been able to practice my day game the way I want. I've been doing maybe one approach a day. Well, I've been doing at least one approach a day. And I don't want to do more because I don't want to walk around forever just hoping to find some sets. Most of the people I talk to, I don't really want to even take out on a date. And I don't want to go out at night because of the vibe here. So I've decided I'll go to Bangkok. I'm going to actually meet up with a guy. I found him on a forum. He's taken his day game very seriously. He went to Bangkok. He's going to do 90 days of strictly day game. He wants to get this area of his life handled. I don't know much about him. We'll meet up with him and maybe I'll have him on the podcast. Who knows? But it reminded me of what my thoughts were in Brisbane when I did that 60-day challenge, that I want to get this area of my life handled. I'm almost 43 now. I've had plenty of years where I've done well and then I just take my foot off the gas. So it's time to get, this shit handled once and for all. So it's exciting that he's in that same journey. Meet up with him. We'll see how he's doing. But he really just showed me I'll just take the loss. I'll just leave Pattaya 5 days early, just get to Bangkok, get some practice in. So I'll do probably a video series of 10 days of game in Bangkok so I can get a good opinion of that. My thoughts on Pattaya are I would not come here unless you're really just wanting to do sex tourism or you just really like the beach because there's not really a lot going on at night, at least for me. I don't want to be really a part of that. I could have gone to Walking Street tonight, but I decided I would stay in, record this podcast, get some content done, do some productive stuff. Tomorrow, I'm going to go see the elephants while I'm in Thailand. I think that'll be interesting. I'll make a video from that. But I was listening to the book Outwitting the Devil this morning. My mastermind partner, my best friend, Rowan, we agreed that we would listen to this book again. I've listened to this several times over the years. It really just emphasizes how important staying on track is. And one of the biggest lessons from this book, Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill, is the habit of drifting. This is where, you get in the habit of taking your foot off the gas or you just get distracted. And this has been a big occurrence for me over the years. And every time I listen to this book, I really can see how I drift. So the habit of drifting is, you're doing something that takes you away from your goal, your objective, and then you just drift into other habits as well. Cigarettes, he mentioned, is one of the worst culprits because once you start smoking, then you get in the habit of not thinking for yourself because you're worried all about nicotine. Then you get in the habit of drinking, and then you get in the habit of this and this and this. So for me, my habit is diet. I'll eat sugar, and then I'll be lazy and I'll want to take a nap, and then I won't want to make content, and then I'll get some negative thoughts in my head about, I should be doing this, I should be doing that, and you can just see how you just start drifting farther and farther away. So, amazing book. I made some shorts about it today. I don't know if I'll continue doing that or not. I'll listen to the book though because it's fantastic. It's probably top 3 books. My number 1 is The 4 Agreements. Definitely check that out. But getting into my thoughts on dating US versus Australia versus around the world, let me just kind of start at the beginning because the US is very big. So it's hard to say, it could be different from where you are as opposed to, other places. I don't want to just generalize. I see a lot of guys generalizing that American women or Australian women are worse than women from other countries. They're more masculine. They're always busy, whatever. I don't want to necessarily generalize that because it does kind of depend on the area that you're in. I grew up in Wisconsin, and that's where I got separated. I knew that area in particular. If you're in a city like this, where your town is 50,000 people, 100,000 people, it's probably a little bit too small in my opinion. But when you're in these kind of cities, most of the people there all grew up with each other. The girls are in scarcity. Like a very attractive girl is scarce in, say, Wisconsin or probably Utah or Nebraska. Like these girls get locked down when they're in high school, when they're in college. Guys will marry them right away, and then they probably, probably have very similar life cycle to what I had, where you get married very young because you don't want to lose this girl, and then you get divorced in your 30s. And many times these girls that are divorced probably have some kids, or they find somebody else right away, so they're not even on the market again. So for my situation, I was in scarcity when I was growing up. Very shy, quiet, never had a girlfriend until I got to the military. And so I locked down the first girl that really loved me, liked me, and I found attractive. So I did not want to lose this girl because I had gone 21 years before I even found her. And if I lose her, then who knows when the next time I'll meet somebody like this is. They don't just come around often. I was in small town Missouri at Whiteman Air Force Base. So that whole area, it's very similar to Wisconsin. The people, small town community, it's rare to just go find very attractive girls, especially when you don't have social skills. She chose me, and I was drunk and happy, and it's like, okay, perfect. A lot of red flags. Didn't always feel great in the relationship, but it was better than having nothing. So I was in that scarcity bubble of, okay, can't lose her. Let's make this work. It doesn't matter that, she, whatever, red flags are a lot of my fault though, too. Like I'm not trying to I'm not trying to push the blame on her. There's a lot of things that I could have done wrong or did do wrong. But the whole thing was just the scarcity is I couldn't lose her because when's the next girl going to come around? So being divorced at 35, my options were even less. And because I didn't have social skills, I would have had to go out to the bars, drinking, and just hope that a girl that's attractive enough picks me. I'm not going to be able to get the cutest girls because I don't have enough practice with social skills. I don't have enough volume. I don't have enough reps. Like I said, there's not a lot of girls on the market. So I knew very quickly I had to get out of small town Wisconsin. I highly recommend if you're a guy who's going through a divorce, going through a breakup, never really had a girlfriend, and you're in one of these towns, do whatever you can to move to a bigger city. It's going to be so much better for you. You're going to get so many more experiences. I don't know if you'll find that you're happier, but you'll at least find that there's more options out there. You'll meet some new people. You'll get out of your hometown. I think it's a huge win. I was talking to one of the guys on the live stream yesterday just about, taking that risk to go to Boston. I didn't know anybody there. I'd never lived in a big city. I never been to the East Coast. Like I always grew up in the Midwest. That's basically where I was. Midwest for the military, where I grew up, and basic training. So I didn't have any experience, and I just decided, like, I knew I had to do something different if I wanted to meet attractive women and to build myself up with the skill set. In order to be social and attractive and meet these attractive women, I have to go to where they're at, and I need more practice. So I took that risk, went to Boston. Dating life in Boston, I don't really want to comment too much on it. I was just getting out of the divorce. I was just getting into working out, starting to build my social skills. So I didn't have a ton of dating experience there. I did find that it was very fun to go out at night. There's plenty of good spots. If you're ever in Boston, check out the Liberty Hotel, Faneuil Hall, Hong Kong Karaoke was great if that's still around. Sissy K's was nice. There's plenty of people out. Good place to practice social skills. I did find I was able to meet a lot of people. I made some good friends there. Day game, I thought had some potential, but at the time I let my anxiety take over and I just would walk around for hours and really not do anything. So I won't comment on that. I did have some dates online dating. I feel like now with the way my profile is, I could definitely do even better. But overall, I think Boston is a good city if you're looking for something that's it's definitely smaller than New York, probably cheaper. The city, it's a good city. I liked it. I don't know. I guess I can't really comment on if girls are so much flakier or not. This was many years ago. But it's a good spot if you're looking for somewhere new. If you're say you're in Connecticut or North Carolina or something, maybe go to check out Boston. I think it was a good city. The only reason that I ended up moving from Boston was because I met a guy who was a instructor for RSD in Las Vegas. And he kind of just told me how great the nightclubs were, how much practice you could get, how fun it was. And I've got family in Vegas, so I've been out there many, many times, and I always loved the desert. I always loved that weather. So it made sense to me. Okay, we'll go out to Las Vegas. I went out there in May of 2018 and fell in love with it immediately. I went down there specifically to focus on improving my dating life. So again, this is something that I've had many times where I want to focus on the dating life. I go all out. I go very hard. I get to Las Vegas. I have results very quickly. I'm meeting a lot of people, but it's always through the nightclub. So it's basically you meet somebody for that night, you have some fun, really don't ever see them again. At the time, I was really just building up my skill set too. So I wasn't really looking for anything serious. I was just looking to have experiences, get social, forget about the last 12 years, forget about my ex. This was still a time where I was still recovering. Although I'd moved out of Wisconsin, all this stuff was still fresh. I was with this woman for 13 years, so it still would creep up and stuff. So I wasn't really looking for anything but fun in Vegas. And it was fun. I had a lot of great times at the nightclubs, but I also started drifting. As I started getting more results, I started to drift more and more. Maybe it's success barriers, maybe it's feeling of unworthiness, or just allowing drifting to take over. But I allowed myself to start smoking again. Then I started to drink more at the clubs, and I was a promoter, so I was able to start going to promoter tables and started drinking. Then I was doing drugs, and then I was smoking weed when I got hired on at the dispensary. And then I got all comfortable with this. I started smoking weed, and then I had this long-term girlfriend who was long distance. So although I had some great results with the social skills, I never felt like I took it as far as I could because of all this drifting. I started just, I guess, just self-sabotage almost, I guess you could consider it. And this girl was great. I really liked her, but I don't want to be in a long-distance relationship. Yes, it's great, but it's not ideal. It's not something that is ever going to really work out. Like for me, relationship, you have to have sex. You have to be around this person. We saw each other 4 times, maybe a year. And we had some good times. Like, it is what it is, but I took my foot off the gas. So my dating experience in Vegas, I can't really comment so much on if girls are flaky or not. It's definitely a great spot if you want to go and just learn to meet people, give them a lot of attraction, learn to, lead and take the interactions to your house and, seed after parties and all that stuff. It's a wild experience. It was a lot of fun. Me personally, I have no desire to go back. It was a fun time in my life. And you did that for a couple months, and, it is what it is. I didn't think I would ever, I guess I don't, yeah, it's just, it's a fun experience. Definitely try it out if you're definitely coming from a small town, if you're just getting out of a divorce, if you're getting out of a relationship, if you just want to try something new, if you've never dated a lot, it can be a lot of fun. I was in RSD immersion at the time, so I had met some guys out there who were also interested in the same stuff. So it made that a lot easier to go out. You have people like-minded, doing the same stuff. You meet some good friends. So definitely interesting scenario. After that, I went to Philly for a couple weeks for training on a job. Had some online dates. I wouldn't say the girls were flaky or any different. My online dating profile wasn't the best, so I didn't put in a ton of effort there. COVID happened. Definitely didn't definitely do anything during COVID. I was back in Wisconsin at the time. I was supposed to go to Michigan. Thank God COVID happened, or I'd probably be trapped in Michigan doing software development, which would have been obnoxious. After that, I ended up in Austin. Austin, I think, is a great spot for dating. The girls are very fit. You get a variety of girls that like to do the bar scene, girls that are very healthy and energetic. Very southern, very cute. It's got a mix of people from California and New York now, everyone leaving those states. Some of the best spots I found there were Rainy Street. That's always good. I don't know how much it's changed over the years, though. I think that they've they're putting up some high rises and stuff, so it might not be the same vibe. But they do have fun events there, like 80s night at Barbarella's, emo bingo on Mondays. That was my favorite event. You have West 6, which has got some very good college bars. You got Dirty 6, which is a lot like kind of Wisconsin, where people are just on the street, just chaotic. Definitely a good spot. And let's see, where else did I go after? So during Austin, I was starting to get some decent results. I came down there. It was just getting done with COVID. I was feeling rusty. No real dating experience for the last year and a half. So was more focused on going out here and there, but I'd be drinking and then I'd start smoking weed again. So I wasn't giving it my all. I did have some good online dates, nothing crazy, no like super results or anything like that. I was starting to get back into going out and talking to girls. So I was starting to see some results there. But in February of, I'm going to say February 2022, I might have to correct that. It might be 21, 22. I went down to, no, let me back up there. I went to Colombia in October of 2021, and I went down to Medellin, and I was on Tinder, and my whole perception of dating really just shifted. In the States, when I was in Vegas, when I was in Austin, when I was in Boston, I would get some online dates here and there. It seemed a little bit more difficult to get matches. I will agree my profile was not optimized, so I can totally understand why. But then I go to Medellin, Colombia for, I'm going to say it's 7 to 10 days, and I get tons more matches. I get 4 girls that I saw in that week. Russian, Colombian, Ukrainian. Went out on dates with them, was able to have some great experiences with them. Had some girls come straight to the house sometimes. Like my whole world just opened up of like, oh shit, it's possible to get so many more matches instead of just, occasional ones here and there. So that just opened my eyes. And I started to get experience with girls from other cultures. And I started to see like, okay, I am really liking to meet these Colombian girls. And I really like this Russian girl that I met. So then I go back to Texas, have that in my mind of, okay, I see what's possible here. I was only in Colombia for, like I said, 7 to 10 days. I think it was closer to 10 days. Had those 4 experiences and had fun around the city. Like it was great exploring a new city, seeing a new culture, being able to walk to places. It did feel easier to set up dates with these girls because they were traveling too. And they weren't just like working a 9 to 5. So it wasn't setting up a date after they've worked an entire day. And then, they're trying to drive downtown. It just was like, okay, let's meet here. We'll just walk over and then, walk back to the house. So it was very easy. Then I get back to Austin. Every time I want to go out, I have to drive my car downtown. Then I have to, flirt. And sometimes I can pull a girl back to the house, but sometimes I can't because of the logistics of driving and if I was drinking and all this stuff. And it was fun, but it didn't compare to Colombia. Then I go to Playa del Carmen in, I think it was February 2022, February, March 2022, maybe January, I don't know, 2022. I go down there for 7 days. And again, I'm seeing so many more results online. Like my profile has not changed a ton. I do have better pictures because I did put a little bit more work into it. While I was in Colombia, I had my friend take a photo of me, which I still use to this day. It's one of my most liked photos. Definitely take the time to get high quality online photos. It makes a huge difference, especially in the States. But ended up in Playa del Carmen. Again, was matching with tons of girls. Had, I think, 3, I'd have to look at my notes, 3 or 4 girls that I met in that week. Some crazy experiences. And again, it was just girls of different cultures. I started to see like, okay, I do like meeting Mexican girls. I did like that I met a Romanian girl. Like I just met girls from all these different cultures. And in Playa del Carmen specifically, because it's a walking city, it's just like, hey, let's set up a date for Tuesday at 7 p.m. We'll meet here. She just has to walk over. She doesn't have to get in her car. She doesn't have to come home from work. She doesn't have to go out and get changed and do all this stuff. Like it's just very relaxed beach town vibe. So I was able to get dates very easily, get them set up, get the matches. And I came back to Austin after this. And after that, I immediately was like, okay, it's COVID. So I'm still working remote. No one's going to know if I go to Mexico. So decided I'm going to get out of my lease. I'm going to Mexico. And I lived in Playa del Carmen on and off for 2 years. Amazing dating experiences. Sometimes I would meet, 3 or 4 girls in a week. Just have these crazy epic adventures. And it really got me a ton of dating practice. I didn't meet a girl that I felt like I would fall in love with and marry. But at the time, I was also finally in a place of abundance where it's like, okay, I have a ton of girls to choose from now. Now I don't have to just settle with a girl. So I didn't have to commit to anybody. I was having a great experiences. I was learning more about myself. I was building myself up as a man. I was learning to lead dates. I was able to be fun and flirty, and these girls wanted to come back with me and to see me longer and to see me. So it really just changed my entire dating life. I started to, I'm not nervous on dates anymore because of all this experience I've had. Like, okay, now I know how to run an interaction. I know how to just be myself. I don't have to try to impress anybody. I know who I am, like, through all this experience. So I did this in Mexico for on and off for 2 years. Focused mostly at that time on online dating just because of how the results I was getting were great, and the girls I was meeting were much more attractive than the girls I was matching with when I was in the US. Some of this was because I had a better profile. Some of it is because, I guess maybe because I stand out because I have blonde hair and I'm white in Mexico. But the girls I was matching with were from like Russia and Ukraine and Colombia and stuff. So probably not that big of a difference, but it just, the vibe was so much better, and it was just so much easier to get these girls out on dates. So I'm in Mexico for those 2 years. I had to go back to Wisconsin. I've mentioned this before. I lost my job as a software developer because I fucking sucked ass at it. So I got fired. Then I started the cleaning business. I was in La Crosse again, small town Wisconsin. Didn't focus on dating at all. I think I had one date with a girl that I matched with on Hinge, and it was not the kind of girl that I would want to see again anyways. And then I moved up to Minneapolis. And I did have much better results with online dating in Minneapolis because I actually took the time to really get some high quality photos. That helps tremendously in the US. I found in the US and Australia, it is easier to stand out because most guys do have terrible profiles. And I think this is what it takes to get very high quality dates in the US, because the girls in these cities have tons of options. Guys will invite them to dinners. Guys will bend over backwards to meet them. A lot of these girls have their friend groups that they've grown up with for a long time. So it seemed more difficult to get as many matches, but I was able to see quite a few girls through online dating in Minneapolis. And then it got to be, well, actually what happened was I met a very great girl who was from Budapest in Minneapolis. She just happened to be in Minneapolis. I really hit it off with her. I really liked her. So I really just stopped doing the online dating. Again, it was a long distance relationship, so it wasn't ideal, but she was really the first girl who was like, okay, she's got a lot of the things that I really like. So I didn't really focus much on online dating anymore. And then the distance got to me a little bit, and I just didn't see how, like, it wasn't the kind of relationship I wanted. So then it got to be January of 2023 or 2024. 2024, my dates are a little mixed up here. 2024, and I decided online dating's great, but it's not helping me become the man that I want to be. I've always wanted to do day game because I know when I see a girl walking down the street, I think she's attractive. I want to be the kind of guy that can go talk to her. I feel like this is how I'm going to really build myself up. It makes me feel good that I can give somebody a compliment. It makes me feel good when I see something, I go for it. So then I started to focus on day game in Minneapolis. Because it's cold and spread out, I would do one approach a day. I would just do it in Whole Foods, saying, hey, I thought you looked nice. For the first couple weeks, I couldn't even ask for somebody's name. But most of the girls that I found most receptive were girls that weren't from Minneapolis. The girl that I was seeing, she was from Poland. So we hit it off right away. I don't know if that's just because of me taking the initiative to approach her. She did say she really loved that. That was one of the things that stood out to her. It happened to be her second day in Minneapolis, so that's kind of crazy. But I did find that the girls that were not from Minneapolis were the most receptive. Again, this is probably a lot more because I'm just getting started into this and I'm not as confident as flirty as I could be. But I started doing that. And then after that, we dated for a few months and she was going back to Europe. And I decided I was going to go back to Mexico. And then in Mexico, because I've already had all this dating experience in the past with online dating, I didn't really care about focusing on that anymore. I wanted to still build myself up. I started doing a cold approach, doing the one approach a day minimum. And again, I found that the girls there are just so much more receptive. Not necessarily, I guess it might be just because of the vibe of the place. Mexico is a very calm, peaceful place a lot of the times, unless you go to the clubs and stuff. But most people there aren't working a 9 to 5. They're not a lawyer. They're not a doctor. They're not stressed out from working until 6 p.m. or 5 p.m. and then having to go to the gym and then having their friends wanting to do stuff and then having all these responsibilities of family or whatever else. In Mexico, people don't have as many obligations, so it is easier to get them out on dates. I did find that some of the girls that I matched with in Minneapolis through online dating and when I was doing the cold approach, it was harder to get them out on dates because they did have other commitments. They did have friends that they grew up with that they want to go out. They have girls that want to go out to dinner with them. They have their job that they're working until 6 p.m. and then they just get home and they don't want to do anything. And then it gets to be Friday night and it's finally their day off and they just want to go home and relax. So it did seem more difficult to get them out on dates. So in Mexico, it's much different. I was in Mexico from July until November of last year, 2025. I started to realize that I probably wasn't going to meet a long-term girlfriend there. It was another one of those things, kind of like Vegas, where you meet a girl, you hit it off for a little bit, and then she leaves. She's only there for a week or so. And I also wanted to continue to explore the world. So I wanted to just see what's out there. I'm 40 at the time. I mean, I guess still I am 42. And I've traveled quite a bit, but there's so much more that I want to see. And I might as well be doing day game while I'm doing it. It seems fun to go explore and do all this stuff and meet a girl and go on these crazy epic adventures. Until I find a girl that can travel with me and do this stuff, that's, I think, the best scenario. So ended up, circumstances took me to Australia, which is great. I started working with some guys and it got me a chance to go to Australia. And I found that the vibe there was very similar to the US. As in a lot of it's a lot more difficult to get matches on online dating. At least it was for me. And I don't necessarily know exactly why. I think a lot of this is because a lot of these girls grew up with their friends. They have these social circles. They have tons of options. They can just go out to the bars. They meet all these people. And I guess a lot of people are just distracted with work and all this stuff. So I did find it was more difficult to get online dating matches there. I was in Australia for 2 weeks. Then I went to Bali. I found Bali was amazing for online dating. I got hundreds of likes within, just the first day or so. A lot of these girls are working girls, but I also had some pretty good dates from that. And I didn't really like Bali as a destination. I was in Canggu. I didn't like the city. I thought it was dirty. I didn't like the beach. But I did have some good quality results with talking to girls on the beach, very receptive. Again, that same vibe of Mexico. People don't grow up there. So they're all expats. They're all looking for new connections, meeting new people. They're very relaxed. They're just walking the beach at sunset. It made a huge difference. And then with online dating, again, these people they're all new. They're all just looking for new people. So it just seems so much easier to get so many likes. It gets overwhelming with how many messages you're sending every day. I would spend hours a day just messaging people. And then I finally was like, all right, I've had enough of this. It's too much. So if you're looking for places with tons of abundance, Bali, Mexico, Colombia, these places you can get a lot of likes. You can see what's out there. So did the Bali for 2 weeks. Wasn't a huge fan of it. Did meet very cute Russian girl, which I never would have met, online dating. I had to meet her in public. I think she was 22 maybe. She's very cute, attractive student, awesome girl to go have an adventure with. These are not girls that I would have met without taking the initiative to go talk to them. Then I came back to Australia and I did the 60-day approach challenge in Brisbane. I found that, again, I'll emphasize or preface this with saying like my day game skills are not where I want them to be. They're not amazing. I've spent years and years wanting to do day game, but I just didn't in Boston, didn't do it in Vegas. Vegas was more nightclubs and partying. Didn't do it in Austin. I let anxiety take over. Mexico, didn't have to do it for the first 2 years I lived there because I was so focused on online dating. Then when I went back after Minneapolis, I was doing one approach a day, and the vibe was just different there. So in Australia, I knew I had to do, Australia was going to be hard mode. There's girls that are working, they're busy. It seemed, it just seemed like I had to be more flirtatious, more on point and stuff. I wouldn't say that it was necessarily more difficult to get them out, because I didn't do the online dating. So when I would go meet girls on the street, it was a lot of, hey, let's go for a quick coffee. And then you can see that to meeting up later. I did find that there's a lot of, oh, wow, this is going over the time limit. Hopefully you guys are keeping up with all this stuff. But yeah, Australia, I thought the Australian women, they were fine. I ended up finding that I was more interested in meeting girls from, Russia or Estonia, Japan, Korea. Like there's a lot of Asian girls out there. I thought they were more receptive, more, just better, connection. It did seem like the Australian women I met, because they are working the 9 to 5s, they're always in a hurry. And again, this definitely is probably some of my skill set. It can be improved. But the online dating there was also much more difficult that I didn't even really bother with it. Like it didn't make sense. And I wanted to do 10 approaches a day, which really helped me get over my anxiety. Like it was a huge help, and I got great dates. I was on dates with girls in their 20s and stuff. Like that's just not going to happen if I'm not taking action and getting out there. They're not going to be online. But it didn't compare to being in Bali, where you just go online and you get tons of girls, or you go to the beach. Mexico, you just get tons of likes. Colombia, you get tons of likes. Then I came here to Thailand, and I made that video a few weeks ago of, I got to Bangkok, and within 2 days I had over however many likes. I can't even remember now. Over a couple hundred likes, and I'm still getting likes consistently just through online dating. In Pattaya, I've had a couple Bumble dates. It's not nearly as abundant as Bangkok, whereas most of my matches are coming from. I've done the one approach a day here in Pattaya. I've had some dates. I've made some videos about those. The girls here are very receptive as well when you do run into them, because it's the same kind of relaxed beach vibe. The Russians here, they're not from here, so they're more receptive to meeting new people. So I'll be interested to see how Bangkok goes, but so far, like with online dating, I'm getting a ton of likes, and they're all very cute girls. I'd say probably 30% are ladyboys, maybe 40% I'm not that interested in. So that leaves 30%, let's say 20%, and I'm still getting hundreds of likes. So out of 100 likes, you like 20 of them. That's good odds. Like that's awesome. That's way more abundance than I was getting in the States or Australia. So I definitely recommend, if you guys are looking to transform your dating lives, if you're just getting out of a divorce or a marriage, get the dating practice. This is what really helped me just grow as a man. It helped me improve my sex. It helped me improve my leading. It helped me improve my nervousness on dates. It allowed me to be myself. It allowed me to lead an interaction, because I was just able to get so much more practice in these areas, in Mexico, in Colombia, in Bali, in Bangkok, that, it'll transform everything. So highly recommend you get out there and see it. Maybe you'll like these girls more than you do like the women in the US or Australia or the UK or wherever you're from. I forgot Barcelona. I was in Barcelona for a couple months. Again, I thought Tinder was pretty good there. I had some good dates. That was a great spot for doing day game. That's where I really started to go out and approach some more. I was there for 2 months, and then I started dating a girl. So I did about a good couple weeks of solid approaching. That was great. But yeah, I just found other countries have been, I don't know more abundant, easier in these other countries that I listed. I don't really have any desire to go to the US unless it would be New York City, where I could get in a ton of approaches, or Miami. Again, my focus is more on building myself up as the kind of guy I want to be. And for me to do that, I'm going to need to do approaches. That's for me, because of the guy it makes me, to face that rejection, to give a girl a fun, flirty reaction or interaction. Then being able to lead that to a date. You have that strong vibe immediately. I don't know if you guys have ever had an online date show up and then you're like, oh, okay, we don't even really vibe that well. It would have saved me so much more time if I just approached her and then found out immediately if we liked each other or not. So don't have a ton of interest in going to the US. I would love to go to Europe, to like Prague, Budapest, Warsaw, so that I can experience the European vibe, to meet some new cultures, get out there, talk to a lot of different people. Australia, Brisbane was good. I can see how I was improving, and it was a great city. Sydney and Melbourne seem like they'd be great as well. I don't know that I'd want to live there long term or not, though. Something I'd have to go back and explore. The challenge was great. We'll see what happens. This has dragged on longer than I thought it would. Hopefully that was at least somewhat helpful for you guys if you are looking for places to go. Getting out of a divorce and you're in that. I mean, if you got married like me, I was actually listening to Outwitting the Devil. One of the ways the devil traps you is getting you into marriages, which leads to nagging and both people aren't happy. I'll actually post that clip at some point because it was super useful of like, okay, I can see why so many people get into marriages that aren't right, like I did, because of scarcity, and then you start nagging each other and you're just not happy and you're not even like on a team anymore. So it's crazy how that works. But say you're getting out of a divorce, you came in out of neediness and you don't have a ton of experience. It's going to be more difficult in the States, I feel like, to get just that feeling of, wow, I just don't even care anymore. I don't care if a girl doesn't message me back. I don't care if a girl flakes on a date. I actually love that she canceled so that I can go home and do the work that I want to do, or just sit at home and chill. It'll have a tremendous impact on you. Highly recommend those countries. I'm going to go to Bangkok, like I said, Wednesday. I will let you know what that is like. I'll be there for 2 weeks. Maybe it'll be epic. Maybe it'll be like Pattaya. We will find out. And then I'll go to Ho Chi Minh City. I'll let you guys know how it is there. I really love that I'm able to explore these new countries. I don't know. I don't want to take anybody's word for it. I've seen plenty of videos saying, dating's broken in these cities, or dating's broken in 2026 and nothing works. But I think that's all just a bunch of negative mindsets. And I've had people tell me for years, that place is dangerous, you shouldn't go. And then you go and it's amazing. And these people half the time have never been where you are. So I'm going to go out and explore, and I'm going to figure out what the best spots are. I didn't know anything about Pattaya. I've been here. It's not for me. In my opinion, it is basically for sex tourism, for guys that don't want to put in the work of getting a good online dating profile or really building themselves up as men so that they can go talk to girls in person without having to pay for sex or to be super drunk. That's just my thoughts on the place. So I'll be excited to go to Bangkok. If you guys are looking for help with your online dating profile, it does make a huge difference in the US. You also still need to know how to text girls when you are in foreign countries as well. Just because you have a decent profile doesn't mean girls are just always going to want to meet up with you. So if you're looking for any help with that, check out the Stan store. You book an online dating profile review, and I can help you with some messaging as well. But yeah, if you are in the States, if you're in a small town like Wisconsin or Utah, do whatever you can, get the hell out of there, go expand, go explore, go see what's out there, go see what works for you, go see what kind of girls you even want. When you grow up in these towns, you're very isolated. I never ran into a Russian girl, a Japanese girl, a Spanish girl, a Colombian girl, like in Wisconsin. That was not happening. So definitely get out of your small town. Go check that stuff out. All right, I will stop rambling now. It's getting to be 40 minutes. Enjoy your weekend, boys. I will make a video tomorrow from the Elephant Sanctuary, and then we'll be in Bangkok for the next podcast. Peace.
Oh, well, let's blow on my left arm, and there's Mary on my right, and Janie is the girl. Well, I show a rosy on my chest, 'cause I'm a